Hello, everybody. Good morning. And it's a Wednesday, December 17th of 2025. Right now, it's colder, probably in the mid 20s, maybe low 30s right now. Doesn't say the exact, but tomorrow the temps will go up slightly on Thursday. It says that much. Anyway, welcome. And this is Mikey of ChattyBloggerMS, which of course stands for Mikey Sue's. And of course, our beautiful cats there, that beautiful Mrs. over there, Miss Moon Pie over in the corner. And then we got beautiful Deja Vu over on the bed, and my beautiful wife over there supervising. Okay, well, due to some circumstances, which are actually pleasant ones, we're going to be, we've got our holiday plans moved up a little bit. So we're going to get to enjoy each other, go out there, maybe grab a few Christmas gifts before the holidays next week. For Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, we're gonna go see a movie. We'll have some meal. It'll be nice. So Jim, I won't be there tonight on panel. I will, however, hang out in the chat maybe for a little bit, and we'll see what happens with that. But Captain Infinity has gone too far. I was in the chat. I'll just say that I was in the chat with Jens and my friend DVB, my brother up there, was up there. He can't help it. He enjoys being on panel, and I don't blame him at all. But what was said, I won't repeat because a lot of it was very upsetting, very vehement at me. But that's okay. He can hate me only once. I don't care. Nobody cares. I like to imitate what he says. Anyway, no, we do have some holiday plans. We do have a few friends. One, of course, Scott, and then Lisa's in town. Whatever, we might run into them, we may not, but whatever happens, Suzanne and I will get a chance to be together and celebrate a true holiday season and enjoy ourselves. So it should be fun. And the cats will get their desired. One of the cats, will get or no, she'll get something, but Deja Vu's gonna get her own little bassinet. Yeah, we're gonna get her a nice little bassinet for herself. Anyway, so today then I decided to move up. So this will be parts 9 and 10 of our 10 days of the 11 days of the 22 episodes of Star Trek, the animated series. And we're going to finish those last 4 episodes today, 3 through 6. And then that will do it for this year for any pop culture shows that I've done reviews for. And I have to say, for the ones that I did in the past, such as, Red Dwarf and Greatest American Hero, TAS, the original series, A-Team especially, and Get Smart. And I'll finish with Get Smart next year in February is when I'll bring that back and finish that up next year. That'll be the only one I do planning on next year for that one. As for the fan film series, the first 2 weeks of January, per Jim, I have set it up to where Lizzie Armstrong will be our first guest co-host and our interview with her. And I'll talk to her just before the 1st of January and see if she'll have time to do that week. And then the following week will be Matt Arnold, and we'll do a special 1v1 special guest Matt Arnold with that one. So that'll be the second week of January. And then the last few weeks of January is when I'll start doing the Star Trek New Voyages, which feature James Cawley, doing basically year 4 in space of the original cast of the Enterprise NCC 1701. That's 10 episodes of that. And then finally, I'll finish out my portions of Star Trek with the Star Trek Continues, which will cover the last 11 episodes that Vic Mignogna himself created for year 5. And then, like I said, and then in February, I'll have the, I'll just go back and do what I normally did, once or twice a week doing the Get Smart, 2 episodes, uh, covering them, each day until I'm through with them. And then, like I said, I'll go over uh, The Naked Bomb and Get Smart again. Those were 2 movies that were done. And then the reboot one, which was Steve Carell in 2008. And before those 3 movie reviews that I do separately, I will cover the 6 episodes that Andy Dick appeared in with both Felden and Adams. Uh, and that was for Get Smart, the new Get Smart, which only lasts about 6 episodes. But again, I love mentioning Bernie Coppell, the late Bernie Coppell, who not only, of course, did Love Boat, but did a lot of other things. But he was a great Siegfried, and I wanted to memorialize him by emphasizing him when we do those 6 episodes. So yeah, because he appeared in one of the last ones there. So that was very cool. Yeah, and of course David Ketchum, Agent 13, stuff like that. Good morning, hello LDG, freethenet.org. Hello LDG there down in Florida. My brother LDG, how are you doing, sir? Good to see you first in the box this morning. Yeah, so at least for this year, last night I did the Hill Jack Happy Hour. Wonderful, great people there, Sabrina and Seth and Rose Craft and everybody that I know. Wonderful people there, and Jay and Leanna were there last night, so that was nice. That was good to see them, and I hope Leanna's feeling better. I know she just went through another cardiac arrest, and Jay's beside himself, which rightfully he should be, But yeah, we got special prayers for them, and of course always for Jason and Nikki. Even though we haven't seen Jason lately, so I don't know what happened to him. Sci-Fi Nation, so I hope he's doing okay. Other than that, like I said, I'll finish these today. We'll do our holiday plans that Suzanne and I plan on doing for the rest of the this week and next, going into Christmas on the 25th. And no, we're not going anywhere on Boxing Day. No. We're not going anywhere. No. Let's see what else is going on. Okay, and then like I said, my next big live stream, just myself, but I'm going to be on January 1st, which I believe is that a Thursday? Let me take a look at this. Yes, it's also a Thursday. So, yeah. So on Thursday, January 1st, I'll have the big reveal. Thank you, LDG. Appreciate that, brother. Thank you. And I love you, Suzanne. Mwah, love you, babe. So January 1st will be the big reveal. And the acronym that you should remember in your heads is MOPS, MOPS. That's what will stand for the subjects that we're going to cover next year, beginning after February 1st, after I do the other stuff in January. And we're going to have some special co-hosts helping me along the way with the MOPS project. That's what we're going to call it, the MOPS project. So that's just giving you a hint of what I've got coming up for the big reveal for next year for this channel, for ChattyBloggerMS, to build it. Now, if Tony wants to help me, Tony Stark, of course, we're talking about, if he wants to help me, I'll have my decision by then. I'll let you know. Don't worry. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started while we have my beautiful wife and LGG watching us. And let's see here on cue. All right, so the 4 final episodes in order, airing order, on Saturday, September 21st, 1974, one day before I turned the age of 9, was season 2, episode 3, called The Practical Joker, where the computer of the Enterprise gains partial sentience and a taste for playing practical jokes on the crew. That got a 6.4 out of 10 with from 828 people. So yeah, I gave that a C minus. Yeah, it gets a low C from me. Albatross is the next episode, which premiered Saturday, September 28th, 1974, a week later. This is a top-rated one, even though it got a 6.8 out of 10 from 804 people. So yeah, rising that to a 7 out of 10. So yeah, I gave that a C. Dr. McCoy is arrested and charged with causing an alien plague. Then the following Saturday, October 5th, 1974, is How Sharper Than a Serpent's Tooth, episode 5. And the Enterprise runs into a being which once visited Earth and influenced the Mayan culture. And that got a 6.4 out of 10 from 793, so that's a C minus. And finally, uh, the last one, which premiered Saturday, October 12th, 1974, The Counterclock Incident, which features former Captain Robert April, who is now a Commodore, I believe. Commodore or Admiral. He was one of the two. Anyway, 7.1 out of 10 from 811. I actually really liked this final episode, even though at the time, since like I said, I was 9 years old, so I didn't really realize it was the last one, which kind of bummed me out. When I didn't see it anymore on Saturday afternoons or Saturday mornings, I was really pissed off. So yeah, you can see why. Anyway, 7.1 out of 10. I actually gave it a B minus. I raised it up a grade because I really thought this was a good final episode, even though I didn't know it yet. And then, of course, I did find out. So I was like, wow. Yeah. So in this, the counterclock incident, the Enterprise finds itself trapped in a negative universe, which causes the crew to begin to grow younger and younger toward infancy. Oh, yeah. That's funny. When you see all of them pretty much as little children on the bridge of the Enterprise and they're all crying and screaming and everything. Yeah, that was worth it. Just alone, just to see them all turn into children. Yeah, it's so much fun. But anyway, yeah, let's get started with the season 3. And I think these will go pretty fast. So as soon as I'm done with them, yeah, then I'll go back to the chat. We'll take a look and see who's there besides LDG and my beautiful wife, Suzanne. So, all right. Now we have already took a look. We took a look at Bill Reed and Hal Sutherland, who share the director duties, directorial, duties. But the writers we have are Len Jansen, DC Fontana, and Chuck Menville. And actually, we'll just take a look at Jansen and Menville, the writers. As you know, of course, you've got Norm Prescott, who wrote the soundtrack of the series theme along with Ray Ellis. In this episode, he is uncredited with the voice of a Romulan commander. We also looked at Lou Scheimer earlier, who is the actual creator from Filmation of the series, and he voices a Romulan crewman uncredited. Then, of course, you have the voices of Shatner, Nimoy, Kelly, Takai, Nichols, Barrett, and Doohan. So there you go. All right. So let's take a look at the trivia first. All right. This is the first appearance of the holodeck. It's called a recreation deck in the Star Trek universe. Some consider this as the prototype of the holodeck used in Star Trek The Next Generation, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and Star Trek Voyager. None of the feature films with the Star Trek TV cast ever used the recreation deck again. Gene Roddenberry had intended to introduce a holodeck type room in the third season of Star Trek, but budget constraints prohibited it. However, in A Pilgrim of Eternity, the Pilgrim of Eternity, that brought back Michael Forrest, who played Apollo and Who Mourns for Adonai or Adonis. In the beginning, which features Vic Monona, he is staring at the barrel of a gun, which is held by Scotty, played by, James Doohan's son, Chris. And he's holding that at him, and that is in a holodeck. That is the first time I think I ever saw a holodeck afterwards, like after, the other series that I just mentioned. But seeing it in Vic Monona's part of it gave it more credence and said, yeah, there it is. Because all he did was he took from the animated series and he took the notes that were there from DC Fontana and others that wrote it into this storyline, and he used that to incorporate an early holodeck. I thought that was just awesome, and it was a perfect way to start the Star Trek Continue series. From then on, I was hooked. I was like, holodeck, awesome, yeah, so very cool. Thank you, Vic Monona, for doing that. That's what inspired one of the things that inspired me to watch Continues and see all the episodes. Okay, this was the last appearance of the Romulans in the Star Trek franchise until the Neutral Zone episode in Next Gen, uh, 14 years later in 1988. And again, of course, this takes place in Stardate 2270. And this is the second consecutive installment to feature the concept of a practical joker following the introduction of On Bidnum Bem in last week's BEM, 1974. All right. And remember, I don't do the goofs or quotes anymore because people know goofs. They can point out things a mile away. And of course, the soundtrack that, like I said, Ray Ellis and Norm Prescott both wrote it. All right. There's no crazy credits. I do look for that always. Okay. So let's see here. All right. Yeah, we talked about Bill Reed, Hal Sutherland, Gene, of course, DC Fontana, of course. All right. Let's take a look at Chuck Menville. And unfortunately, we did lose Chuck Menville in 1992. Not only a writer, he also worked on additional crew, and he was a producer. And he was born on April 17th, 1940 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And he's known for the Real Ghostbusters animated series in 1986, Vicious Cycles in 1967, and Stop, Look, and Listen in 1967. He died on June 15th, 1992 in Malibu, California. He was nominated for 1 Oscar. And so he was only 52 years old. Yeah. He did 29 episodes as a writer for the Real Ghostbusters animated TV series. He wrote the movie short called Stop, Look, and Listen in 1967. Like I said, Vicious Cycles, he was the writer for that in 67. And in 1976 to 78, he did 24 episodes of the animated TV series Tarzan, Lord of the Jungle. And the last thing he worked on posthumously was in 1993 as part of the Batman the Animated Series. He had a story that he wrote called Birds of a Feather about the Penguin, and that was season 1, episode 52. That was his posthumous and last thing he worked on. And then before that, he worked on 2 episodes of the Little Mermaid TV series from Disney. Season 1, episode 10 was called Thingamajigger. And then season 1, episode 14 was called Electric City. Eel, like electric, but electric. And both written by Chuck Menville. Nice. All right, so rest in peace there, Chuck. All right, now let's go ahead and take a look at the other gentleman, Mr. Len Jensen. There he is. Uncredited. All right. Uncredited writer for this episode. Not only same like Chuck, but he also was additional crew and a producer. He was born November 18th, 1937, and he is still alive today. So he just turned the ripe old age back in November of 88 years old. And he was born in Los Angeles. He's known for the Real Ghostbusters, Vicious Cycles, and Stop, Look, and Listen. So both Len and Chuck worked together on those series. I just mentioned those. And they also worked on Tarzan, Lord of the Jungle. And the last thing that Jensen did before he retired, apparently, in 2003, he was the writer for a TV series called Gadget and the Gadgetinis. And he did 1 episode called Episode 12, Face to Face to Face in 2003. That was his last work so far. Okay, so that's good to know. Len Jensen being alive, 88 years old, 88 years young. Okay, and hello, Skogli Jotun. He says, I'm live streaming right now, so I'm dropping this comment and bouncing. Just wanted to show you some love and pop in a like. Thank you so much, Skogly. So yes, if you folks would want to look in on Skogly Jotun, please do so if you want to. He's live right now. So yeah, thank you, brother Skogly. I appreciate that, dude. We got 2 likes, and that is awesome. And still 1 person watching, so very cool. Alrighty, let's go on to episode 4, and let's see here. Yeah, so we'll go back here. All right, so the next one is Albatross. Okay. And this one, we're going to look at one writer. His name is Dario Finelli, and he wrote this episode along with DC Fontana. And of course, Bill Reed and Hal Sutherland directed. Okay. And let's go ahead and look at the trivia. Okay, we got some trivia here. Now, first of all, as you know, from now on, the final episodes, everything takes place in Stardate 2270. So just so you know. All right. The title Albatross is most likely referring to the metaphorical usage of the word albatross that has its origins in Samuel Taylor Coleridge's poem, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, where the albatross symbolizes a psychological burden that feels like a curse. In this TAS story, Leonard McCoy is in a sort of similar way haunted by the possibility that his actions may have in fact somehow caused an outbreak of a disastrous plague that completely eradicated the population of an entire planet. This installment apparently contradicts the writer's/director's guide for Star Trek 1966, which describes McCoy as having joined Starfleet only in middle age after he was divorced. Now, that would mean he couldn't have worked on Dromea 2 during his early adulthood. Since this was never definitively stated on screen, there is some wiggle room. And I agree. So for one of those times, they were like out of their element, but hey. Let's see. No crazy credits. Okay, we're all set there. Alrighty, so let's take a look at Dario Finelli. Sounds like a perfect Italian name for a writer. Here we go. All right. Very short on Mr. Dario. He is known for Scorpio 70 in 1970. He wrote that movie. And then, like I said, this was his one episode that he wrote for Star Trek, the animated series. Very little information on Mr. Dario. But I'm assuming he's still alive. So, yeah. So that's a quick one. Very cool. And he's got a love in there. That's nice. Somebody sent a love to him. So Dario Finelli. Very brief history on that gentleman. All right. You know, it's the little things that you get known for, you know. You may not do a lot in your lifetime, you know, as part of SAG-AFTRA, but yeah, when you do little things, it kind of works out. So, yeah, very cool. Alrighty, and now to our third to the last, we have How Sharper Than a Serpent's Tooth. And this one, we have Bill Reed and Hal Sutherland again directing, co-directing. We have, along with DC, we have Russell Bates and David Wise. So we will take a look at those 2 writers. Let's see. Yep, and the regular cast of Shatner, Nimoy, Kelly, Takai, Nichols, Barrett, and Doohan. Yep, doing their voices. Okay, so let's look at trivia. All right. Ooh, lots of trivia here. Wow, I'm going to have fun with this one. Okay. All right. In the portion of the episode when Uhura expresses concern about the condition of the captain and the others, Spock replies curtly, "Return to your duties." Writers David Wise and Russell Bates worked for almost 2 hours trying to write a tart retort for her to one-up Spock, but couldn't. So Wise wrote a place holding slug line of pointy-eared fool with the plan to fix it later. They forgot to fix it and turned in the script, and it made it all the way to Nichelle Nichols' recording session. When she read the line silently, she looked at me and asked, "Am I really supposed to say that?" Wise and Bates told her no. So the line was not recorded, nor any replacement line. Nice. The plot point about Cuckoo Khan actually being an alien life form was inspired by the Eric von Daniken book Chariots of the Gods, especially claims like Indian sites in Peru having actually been created by aliens as methods of communication. Authors Russell Bates and David Wise deliberately modeled their plot on Who Mourns for Adonai, written by Bates' friend Gene L. Kuhn. The title is based upon a quote from William Shakespeare's play King Lear, Act 1, Scene 4, how sharper than a serpent's tooth it is to have a thankless child. David Wise later reused the idea of Kukulkan Khan being an alien who visited Earth in the distant past and influenced Maya culture in his script for Tarzan and the Space God in 1978. The character of Dawson Walking Bear was borrowed for this episode. He originally appeared in The Patient Parasites, a script that was never produced. This episode features him more prominently than that script did and also gives him a unique personality. His first name, Dawson, is not used in this episode. The presence of Ensign Dawson Walking Bear in this installment means it was the first episode to feature the appearance of a Native American starship crew member on Star Trek. Animator David Wise was still in his teens when he co wrote the episode, which was his first TV credit in the commentary track of this episode in the DVD. David Wise said this was the episode that Introduction Company Filmation included in their submission of Star Trek the Animated Series for a Daytime Emmy Award for a children's series in 1975. David characterized his work on this episode as his start in animation, adding, "When you've been responsible for an Emmy, you're pretty nicely launched." The character of Kukulkan Khan is one of several examples of an exotic non-humanoid alien that would not have been possible in the live-action series. His ship would have been quite difficult to depict as well. As I said, it takes place in 2270 Stardate, and the main plot of the story is that Kukulkan or Quetzalcoatl visited Earth centuries ago and brought the gift of civilization to humanity. He is angry here because he feels that his children, humanity, have forsaken him. The main idea of aliens bringing civilization and technology to humans, of course, was popularized by Eric von Daniken in the 1960s with his book, and has since been expanded by other writers. Very cool. Okay, and since we don't, let's see here. Yeah, since we don't have any crazy credits. Okay, so let's go to the cast and crew, and we'll take a look at these cool writers. All right. All right, unfortunately, the first of the two, Russell Bates, we did lose him in 2018. Not only did he write, he also was an actor and additional crew. He was born on June 6, 1941, in Lawton, Oklahoma, which is near Fort Sill. I used to work there. He was a writer and actor known for Star Trek, the animated series, Freddy of the Jungle in 1981, and ISIS in 1975. He was a student of Gene L. Kuhn, who taught at the Writers Guild of America Open Door program, which was a diversity initiative. He also worked with Kuhn on It Takes a Thief and The Name of the Game. And he died on April 9th, 2018, at the age of 76. Okay, so in The Secrets of ISIS TV series, he worked on season 1, episode 1, The Lights of Mystery Mountain, and he wrote that episode. So that was the introductory episode of Joanna Cameron, who, of course, we lost 2 years ago in 2023, who played Almighty Isis from the Marvel comic book. And that was part of the ISIS Captain Marvel hour. Then Freddy of the Jungle movie. He acted in that. He was Chief Follows Nose in 1981. And then in Porky's 2 the Next Day in 1983, he played the role of Mike Jumper in that. And that was his final appearance. Yeah. So, as an actor. His final writing credit was The Secrets of Isis. So yeah, so that was the mini bio. Rest in peace, Russell Bates. Okay, now we're looking at David Wise. All right, David Wise. Yep, we did lose him too. He passed in 2020. Such a shame. Both great writers gone. Also, not only that, but he was a cinematographer as well as additional crew he worked on. And David Wise was the son of Electronic Arts Intermix founder Howard Wise and producer Barbara Wise. He was a child prodigy whose pre-adolescent films led him to be described by Jonas Mekas as the Mozart of cinema. The young Wise would be trained in stop frame animation by Stan Vanderbeek before going on to his later career as a successful writer of science fiction, film, and television. He was born February 1st, 1955, and he died during that dreaded pandemic, March 3rd, 2020, at the age of 65. Okay. As a writer for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Heroes in a Half Shell, Turtle Power, from 87 to 96, he worked on 193 episodes. Then in Defenders of the Earth, animated series from 86, he worked on 13 episodes as a writer. Then in Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, and we just lost wonderful Gil Gerard, remember, as part of the threesome. There was Rob Reiner that got made unalive by his son, the druggie Nick, and also his wife Michelle. Rest in peace. We lost Gil Gerard just recently. Rest in peace. And then we lost who was the third one, babe? Besides Gerard and Rob Reiner, Anthony Geary. Then we lost Anthony Geary, who played Luke and Laura, the wedding of the century, back in the early 80s from General Hospital. He passed. So it's been a bad week. All right. And then the one episode that he wrote for was season 1, episode 12, The Space Vampire. That was cool. I like that episode. And then he did 5 episodes of the Chippendale Rescue Rangers from 89 to 90. That animated TV series of Chippendale. All right. And there was something in pre-production that was going to come up, but I guess because he's passed, he's not going to be able to do it. It was called Pet Robots. He was going to write that, and it was in pre-production, but I don't think that's going to happen anymore. He did work a podcast series before he passed. He wrote Gallifrey, which is based on Doctor Who, for 1 episode. And in the podcast, it was season 4, episode 4, called Forever. So that was the mini bio of David Wise. Rest in peace, sir. Okay. And hello. Welcome, Jim. Commodore Productions 01. Hey, Jim, I won't be there on the panel tonight. Got other things going on, but if I have a chance to come by, I'll be in the chat for you, okay? But yeah, I can't be on the panel anymore. You can ask Captain next time. He'll probably go blah 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 blah, and he'll put his hands over his ears. He won't say anything. Anyway, yeah, I was on Jens Petter's show. Oh well, I wasn't on the panel, obviously, but I was down in the chat, and of course, here went Captain, went off on me and everything. So, oh well. You win some, you lose some, right? But it's good to see you, Jim. It really is good to see you. And thank you so much, Jim. Thank you so much again for that awesome interview 1v1 we did yesterday. That was so much fun. Thank you so much. And I missed you. I didn't see you at the Hill Jack, but I did see Jay and Leanna. Leanna had another cardiac arrest, so she's in the hospital again till the end of the week. So, yeah, I talked to Jay and Leanna last night briefly. They're in the chat. They were there for the Hill Jack. So, but I was glad that we got to do that interview. And like I said, Jim, we've got Lizzie will be the first week of January, and then Matt Arnold will be the next week. So, yeah, I got it all ready to go. Just have to put it up there, plan it and set it up. But, yeah, so that's what's coming up first next year. So, Well, I'll mention all that in the big reveal, like I said, on Thursday, January 1st. It's going to be a live stream, but it's just going to be myself letting everybody know what's happening for the new year. So, but it's great to see you, Jim. Thank you so much for being in the chat with us, and appreciate 2 likes, and we got 2 people still watching. Cool. All right. So before anything else, and I mean, I'm not going to say, because if I do, I'll probably jinx myself, but let's get to the final episode, which of course is called The Counterclock Incident. And in this one, we're going to take a look at the co-writer, along with DC Fontana, Fred Bronson, who wrote this episode. And we have the co-directors again, Bill Reed, Hal Sutherland, and you know about the soundtrack. And I did give this a B- to finish out the series. I thought it was pretty good. Seeing Robert April, for the first time. Okay. All right. And we have the regular cast of characters. I already mentioned them. And let's see, make sure we don't have any goofs. Yeah, we have goose quotes, but we don't do that. No filming. Okay. And no crazy credits. Okay. So let's get to the trivia, and then we'll get to Fred. All right. This was the last Star Trek production until Star Trek the Motion Picture in 1979, 5 years later. This is the longest period of time in which the franchise lay dormant. This was also the last episode of the Star Trek franchise to feature scenes set in the 23rd century until Trials and Tribulations, which was done on that crossover episode with the original series and Star Trek DS9 in 1996, 22 years later. This episode introduces Robert April, a character from unused Star Trek 66 scripts. Due to Gene Roddenberry's later request that the animated series not be considered canon, however, it has never been made part of official Star Trek continuity that Captain April was the first captain of the USS Enterprise NCC 1701. The name was taken from Gene Roddenberry's files. It originates from the first Star Trek pitch, Roddenberry's 1964 document, Star Trek Is. Early drafts of the original plot script for The Cage in 66 also listed the captain as having that name, although this was changed in subsequent drafts of the pilot script, and various names were temporarily considered before Christopher Pike was chosen. Robert April's Starfleet dress uniform was based on similar costumes used in the original Star Trek series, beginning with Court Martial from TOS in 67. Writer Fred Bronson chose to be credited with the pseudonym John Culver Bronson, who worked as an NBC publicist, though it might create a conflict, or thought it might make, he thought it might create a conflict by working as a writer for the show that he was publicizing. But NBC corporate policy did allow that. Bronson chose Culver because he grew up in Culver City, California. Arret, Arret, is terra, right, backwards, the Latin word for earth, spelled backwards. The name had also previously been used for a planet in Return to Tomorrow in 1968, although only in an early script draft and not in the final version of the installment. Okay, this is the third of 4 episodes to reference the planetoid Babel. Introduced in Journey to Babel in 67, this location is also referenced in The Pirates of Orion in 74 and Babel 1 later on in 2005. The concept of a negative universe first appeared in The Alternative Factor in 67. The idea that the transporter could be used to restore the crew's adult forms into children was used again in Rascals in 92. A similar concept, anti-time, was later explored in All Good Things at the end of The Next Generation in 94. Reversed aging, adults appearing as children, children appearing as adults, is also explored in the episode Innocence in 1996. This is the last time of this finale, or the last line of this finale to the animated series is appropriately, it gave us all a second life. This is also the last non-feature length series finale in the Star Trek franchise until These Are the Voyages in 2005 from Enterprise, which aired on May 13th, aired on May 13th, 2005, and it includes William Shatner and Nichelle Nichols' final appearances in a Star Trek episode. And of course, it took place in Stardate 2270. And there is one spoiler. This is one of two Star Trek finales to not have the last line delivered by the captain of that respective series. Here, it is delivered by Sarah April. The other is What You Leave Behind, the final episode in DS9 in 1999, where the final line is delivered not by Benjamin Sisko, but by Quark. There you go. Alrighty. And let's go ahead and get to the cast and crew. And finally, Mr. Fred Bronson. All right, and Fred Bronson is still alive today. Yay! So we get to finish this with someone who's still breathing. Yay. All right, so right now he is 76 years of age, but if he reaches it to January 10th of next year, he'll turn 77. So awesome, Fred. Good to see you. Writer, producer, and actor. And he was born in the United States. They just don't say where. But he's known for Star Trek The Next Generation episodes, Star Trek The Animated Series, and of course, America Votes, the #1 song in 1986. Okay, so the 2 episodes he worked on for Star Trek The Next Generation, in Season 3, Episode 24, he wrote Menage a Troy in Season 3. And then in Season 5, Episode 6, The Game, he wrote the story for that episode. And of course, the one episode here, the final one for the animated series, then a TV movie called America Votes the #1 song, he wrote that. And then in the TV series Your Big Break in 1999, he wrote for that series. Very cool. The last thing he was a writer for in 2012 was the 40th anniversary of the American Music Awards, that TV special. And before that, Lionel Richie and Friends was a TV special in 2012 that he also wrote for. And he also did one of the first ones that Ryan Seacrest did, Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve in 2012. So 3 things that he did during that year. All right, so that is Fred Bronson, 76 years young and turning 77 hopefully next year. The way people have been dropping like flies, it would amaze me. Okay. Alrighty, so we are done. We have finished all 22 episodes of the original Star Trek animated series, and we also already finished TOS. So we are done there, for at least for this year. And like I said, in January, after we do our 2 1v1 interviews with Lizzie Armstrong and with Matt Arnold, then we can continue with Star Trek New Voyages with James Cawley's 10 episodes, which, you know, Rod Roddenberry Jr., Eugene, considers canon. And then Star Trek continues with the 11 episodes that Vic Mignogna did before that leads up to Star Trek the Motion Picture. So, yeah. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, I just want to mention a couple things. First of all, I want to thank every single person that was there for us from the beginning this year of 2024 or 2025, sorry, that it was with us for all the events, whether good or bad, anything that went down. And yeah, who were there for us even when we lost our last channel, Mikey Seuss 4. Really was devastated about that. Suzanne and I worked really hard on that, and it's gone. But however, there is still, even though it's inactive, YouTube in its graciousness was able to bring it back with the personal videos that are there. So if any of you are curious and you want to go watch one of my videos where I had a 15-year-old computer and going blah, 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 and you want to laugh at me, go right ahead. we have this, what we call the triple Mikey Sue's playlist. And what that means is, from when Suzanne joined me online for the first time, we met each other first time in 2010 when I was still running Warlord Fade. Then we went to 2017 in November. We started November 10th of that year, and we started running Mikey Seuss 4. And then, of course, after that, we started running this brand new ChattyBloggerMS, which is the final one we plan on doing together, regardless of what happens. And and we've been so blessed. I mean, we met a lot of great people along the way. Yeah, we met some idiots, but hey, can't fault them. All you do is you pray for the enemies. What they say is, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. Whoever said that, I don't know. I don't care really who said that, but hey, it exists. It's out there. It's a phrase. Anyway, I just want to say again, thank you all for what you did for us for all these years. In the past, that liked our previous videos and things we downloaded. And then, of course, when we started streaming back in April of 2023, and I just picked April 1st as a starting point, I feel it's, appropriate enough. But anyway, next year will be our third year that we've been streaming. And, we're still a fledgling company. We're very small, we're a fledgling YouTube channel, but we're very kind people. I would think so. Most definitely. Yeah, we have our moments. I mean, come on. Everybody has a light side, everybody has a dark side. You're never going to be able to shake that. You know that you've got one side and the other. They're always in competition, always in conflict, as they say. Light side, dark side. Yeah. But anyway, but with all that said, Suzanne and I do believe in a very kind channel. We try to be there for everybody. When you come to be in the chat here and the webcams I do, or in the live streams I do, Jim will tell you, we did our interview yesterday. It's a kind channel. Now there will be moments, as I said, there'll be moments that people will piss us off, and of course we're just going to have to address that at the time it happens. But one thing I don't believe in is politics anymore. Politics to me is dead. Okay, it died when you put the two people in charge down there in the States and the one up here in Canada. But that's whatever, beside the point. Anyway, the fact is we don't like to talk about death unless it's important. Like I said, we've lost three great people in Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle, and Anthony Geary, and of course Gil Gerard. So I mean, that's important. I mean, those people redefined television in their own unique ways, and so to all of them we say rest in peace. And Jim says, "Can you send me Jen's link?" Uh, yeah, sure, Jared. When I get back to Facebook, yeah, I'll send you his the link to his. Well, I don't know if Jens deletes it right away or not, but if I can, but if I can find it, I'll try to send it. But I will send you his main link, his YouTube link, unless you already have that. His own link. Yeah, I could send that. I could send you both if you want. That'd be fine. Okay, so first of all, I want to say uh, to all of our subscribers currently that are here for ChattyBloggerMS, and the people that are here for us today in LDG, Skogly Jotun, and Commodore Productions 01, Jim. I want to thank you all for being here for this final episode today that I wanted to cover, and also for being for us in the past. We do appreciate you all, and all of our members, all 47. We're getting there. We're building it. 47 wonderful people that we consider extended family, not just subs. So, yeah, that's important. That's important to us. And hello, Anchor Cornholio 75. Is Star Trek woke? Well, there's only two ways you're going to know for sure there, Scott. And Scott, thank you for coming by. I'm almost done. But Scott, the best way to find out is if Star Trek Starfleet Academy next year and Star Trek Legacy, which continues the story from when Seven of Nine took over the Enterprise G. If anything, those two series, if they're totally woke, you'll know. You will know. Probably within the first few minutes of the first episode, the pilot episode of each, if we get to that point. Yeah. So you'll know for sure. So that's all I'm going to tell you about that. I don't know much more. You'll just have to see for yourself, and I'm looking forward to catching them myself to see how they're going to do. Strange New Worlds. I really did start to find I only watched like the first three seasons in recap form, which is available on YouTube now, by the way. If you get a chance and you haven't seen the series at all and you want to kind of catch up, you can do it right there on YouTube. Just type in, recap season one, two, three, Strange New Worlds. Strange New Worlds is not too bad. Um, I have to say, I thought all the new Trek series sucked. But I've seen, like I said, I saw the three recaps, the first three seasons, so I'm kind of caught up. I don't, I'd have to go and do individual episodes just to kind of check them out. I did watch one episode of Lower Decks. It didn't really appeal to me. And of course, I did tell you folks, I watched the first two and a half brand new episodes of Star Trek Disco, and that sucked. And then and then I watched the last three episodes of season 3 of Picard, which of course involved the Borg, and that was awesome. So I love those last three episodes. And Scott says, I'm woke. Well, that's all right, sir. Well, that's fine. Yeah, we're not, buddy, my brother. We're not condemning you for being woke. Come on. Um, if you think Star Trek is woke, though, you'll know for sure. Then, if you say you're woke, you'll know for sure. You'll know for sure when those episode series start. Yeah, like I said, Starfleet Academy. I know is coming, and I don't know if Legacy is coming, but we'll see. Yeah. It's fine, Scott. You're cool. Don't worry about that, man. I'm glad you're here. Suzanne and I are both glad you're here. She just gave you a big hug. We're glad you're here, buddy. All right. So, as I always like to say, my wife, Suzanne, who is a Universal Life Church minister, who says, leave everything in God's hands. It's probably the best piece of advice I've ever heard in my life. And I try to adhere and hold myself to that standard. And yeah, Jim says, thanks, Mikey. And everyone, have a great day. You too, Jim. And have a good show tonight, sir. I'm sorry I won't be in the panel, but I'll be there for you. I'll still hang out in the chat a little bit. So, yeah. We have a lot of holiday plans coming up. We have a big show. Don't forget, this coming weekend on Saturday, December 20th at 5:35 p.m. Eastern, we've got Chance Bartels, myself, Al's Place, CC, our guy from behind the screens, movie screens, and we hope to have our special guest, Mr. Larry, my brother of 50 years that I've known from Years of Adventures. Hope to have him up as a special guest. And he said he would like to do it. So hopefully I can get him up there on Saturday afternoon. Hope you all get a chance to see that if you follow the Nostalgic Pod Blast live from Atlanta, Georgia. I love doing that. Anyway, so Larry, I hope to see you there for Saturday. And Jim, I'll probably see you tonight. And I won't be able to be there at all on Friday because we're going out for sure. But yeah, I'll be there in spirit. You know that much. Anyway, let's see. So then Larry, of course, who always says, always be yourself. Love that. That's just perfect 3 words. Always be yourself. That's great. On behalf of the Gene Siskel, formerly of the Chicago Tribune, who passed away, along with Roger Ebert, both rest in peace. The family who has allowed me to say, and now the aisle is closed, which was the ending of every Siskel and Ebert at the Movies episodes that I'm aware of. He was my favorite nerd. And of course, I'd like to thank again Brother Jim and Brother Matt for allowing me and helping me to put together my meme, which is remember, you'll never know where you'll hear or see me next. So make sure you keep an eye out. And remember, don't forget, hit that like button today. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. When you do, make sure you hit all notifications, this bell. There you go. And don't forget to share the channel if you want to with your friends and family and acquaintances so that they get to know us here at Chatty Blogger. We're a good channel. We're good people. We do have, like I said, we do have our dark side moments, but we outweigh that by our goodness and how we like to be kind to everybody. And Suzanne and I believe in that very strongly. So, and so along with myself, my beautiful wife, Suzanne, my beautiful cat over here, Miss Deja Vu, or excuse me, Miss Moonpie, and then Miss Deja Vu right there. There we go. We wish you all a Merry Christmas. We wish you all a Happy Hanukkah. We wish you all a Happy Kwanzaa. We wish you happy holidays, and just have peace and have a great holiday season. And we'll see you all next time on the big review. Well, first we'll see you on December 20th, hopefully there at the Nostalgic Pod Blast. But after that, I hope to see all of you January 1st when I give the big reveal. I don't know the time yet, but as it gets closer to time, I might do one more special edition JAS just to let you all know when that's happening. So everybody take care of yourselves. God bless you all. And we'll see you next time on ChattyBloggerMS, which stands for Mikey Sues. There you go. Take care, everyone. Oh, and one last reminder 8 days to Christmas. Ah! And a week till Christmas Eve. And and dropping those presents down through the quantum wormhole, which is his sleigh. Yeah. Go try to figure that out. NORAD hasn't, not to this day. Anyway, again, God bless you all and take care. Oh, that was good.